Hi guys, it's Angie, and it looks like I have like the sun shining right on my face or something. But anyway, today is Monday, and I got my mammogram results back over the weekend, and everything was a-okay and normal and all of that. So, yay me. I'm still waiting for my results from all my blood work. That usually takes a little bit longer, but hopefully I'll get them this week or next week, and hopefully everything is a-okay with all of that too. I'm driving on my way down to work. Let's see. You know I've been doing a lot of the car vlogs lately instead of where I'm just kind of sitting at my kitchen table and showing you my projects and giving the diet update and all of that. And it's just because it's a little easier to do the car vlogs because I don't have to worry about, my husband and the kids, and not the kids so much because they're always hanging out in their room, but like I normally do those on Sundays, and my husband was home all day yesterday, and I feel kind of weird, recording with him sitting right there. So yeah, that's why I just been doing the car ones, even though when I do the ones at home, I like them a little bit better because then I have my list of what I want to talk about, and I usually have, things that go on during the week or whatever, or things I might want to ask your opinion on, stuff like that. Like I was going to show you guys, and I still will, just not from the car, that I got a jumbo pom-pom maker. I was really excited to find it because I had heard that they had one. It's that Clover, like the ones that I normally, the one I use the most is the large one, and it makes nice size pom-poms for hats and the ends of scarves. Although, I have a hair, sorry. Although on the ends of scarves, I've wished that I could find something that would make just at least a little bit bigger. Let's see. And this one looks like the pictures on the box even showed those like little topiary trees, even though I wouldn't make one of those. But I don't know what else you could make, maybe a pom-pom rug or something, but they make jumbo pom-poms, and I was going to show you guys that like held up next to the other ones so you can see how much bigger it is. But I was pretty excited to find it. I had gone to a Joann's I had never been to before and was just overlooking at like the yarn and stuff. And then I don't know what the heck. I keep feeling like I have a hair across my face. How distracting. But I always have to check out the yarn, even though I wasn't planning on buying any because I still have myself on a yarn diet. And since I haven't really been working on projects, I'm not using up the yarn. But I don't know, I'm like just lost track of my thoughts. But anyway, I went in that Joann's. I'd never been in it. It had a lot more yarn than like my Joann's does. And then I always go by the area where they have, the different looms and the pom-pom makers and the knitting needles and all that stuff, because I always like to look to see if there's anything new. And that's where I found that jumbo pom-pom maker, and I forget how much it was, but I had a 40% off coupon, and I had bought that pom-pom maker and then some, like this little pack of, it was like a 4-pack of different little craft glues, so you could just try them out. And I got all the pom-pom maker and the craft glues for like $10.15, that's with tax and everything. So I thought that was pretty good. But because I was looking, I'm always looking, my favorite kind of yarn to make like scarves out of is that Bernat Softy Chunky. I love that yarn. And And speaking of I love that yarn, my other favorite yarn is Hobby Lobby's I Love This Yarn. I've only used it a few times because I just had discovered it after I had bought so much other yarn, so I didn't buy a whole bunch of it. But then when I was using it, it works really good on the Addy. It works really good for the looms. I just really like it. It's comparable in price to the Red Heart, but I think the feel of it is a little nicer. It's an acrylic yarn too. It just is softer already. It's like starts out softer. And it comes in so many colors. But I've made myself stay out of Hobby Lobby because there's one right by my work. I'm really not close to one. I have to really get a pretty good drive to get to one. I mean, not like forever, but the closest one is probably 35 minutes away. And then this one up by my work is 45 to 50 minutes away. But since it's right by work, I could easily go in there after work some night, or it's close enough to where I work to even go up there at lunch. But I've made myself stay away because I want to use up a lot of this yarn I have, because a good majority of my yarn is in the trunk of my car. And I really would kind of like to get the trunk of my car cleaned out, because what I did, when I get into a hobby, I kind of go a little hog wild with it at first, and you know, I don't know. And that's what I did with the yarn. I ordered a bunch of yarn online. I went to Joann's. There's a place called Hancock Fabric by my house that they always have their yarn on sale. And they had a bigger selection of that softy chunky, because I like to use that for scarves, and that's also what I like to use when I make slippers. And it just comes in so many colors, and it comes in a lot of the variegated, and I just really, really, really like it. And it works up super fast on a scarf. That's what I like about it the most, is you can see your progress so quickly that it doesn't feel tedious to make a scarf. And I know some of you know what I mean, you know, with that when you're making a scarf. But with that, it just goes by so fast. And so anyway, I've got all this yarn, and part of the problem with some of it is when I ordered it online was before I really learned more about yarn, you know, because not every four is the same, or, you know, not every weight is the same across all yarns. And for some of the yarns I ordered, I didn't even look at the weight. I was just looking at the pictures. So I have some yarns where I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with it. Some of it I have figured out that if it's like a thinner yarn, you can pair it with like a 4 worsted or even a 5 bulky and make some really pretty things. And so there's some yarn like that I have that I just need to pair it with a bigger yarn, and I really just need to go through and get more organized. And some of it is more towards the holidays, like I found back around Christmas, I think right before Christmas, when I was making looking for snowman buttons, I had found at Joann's this set of buttons that's like the 2 eyes, and it's actually a little carrot, like for the carrot nose. And I was buying those up. Well, right next to those were jack-o'-lantern buttons. So they're like the, you know, the little triangles for the eyes and the little jack-o'-lantern mouth. And so I bought those up, and I want to make like jack-o'-lantern hats. So I had bought it's kind of funny because the yarn that I found is called, the color of it is carrot, but it looks like, you know, it would make a good pumpkin colored hat. And then I found some forest green to incorporate, you know, the stem or whatever into it. I'm not exactly sure how I'm gonna do it yet. So I've got some yarn like that, and then I had bought some different Christmas kinds of yarns because I want to do some more snowman hats, and I wanted to make like a Christmas scarf, and I probably will even make a jack-o'-lantern scarf, because around, at least here around Halloween, sometimes it's pretty chilly. And so I've got, you know, all these projects in my mind, and I have all these scarves and hat ideas in my mind, and so I've got all this yarn, but now that it's summer, I just haven't been in the mood for the yarn as much. I don't know, or maybe if I've been way more into reading. I really like to go outside and read, and see if eventually it's going to end up getting too hot to do that, so maybe then I'll pick up the yarn more in the house. But definitely when it comes to fall and winter, that's when it's like I start itching to want to do the yarn, and I want to learn how to crochet. And Jerry I saved it. She had given me a link to, I think his name is Mikey with the Crochet Crowd, and I've looked at a few of his videos, and they have like a whole series that teaches you how to crochet, because I see so many things that people crochet, and I really would like to learn how to do that, because I think that you can make even more things. And my mom and my grandma for years crocheted. I could just never learn when I was younger, but now that I'm older, maybe I can learn it. I have more patience than I had when I was younger. And I do know how to like crochet a chain, a straight line. That was about the only thing I could ever learn. And for a little while I tried to teach myself with videos how to crochet a circle, because I want to do a circle so bad, because I have these ideas for making a hat or scarves with owls on them. Look at my earrings. I love owls, and I keep thinking I could make like a round crocheted circle and a button, to make the eyes, but I can't figure out how to do the circle. And I've looked at so many videos, and it's like, it looks like it's gonna work, but then it doesn't work, and it's because the people go a little too fast. I mean, I need slow, I don't know, maybe I need to try to find like a kid's video or something. I mean, I need that kind of a tutorial. That's what I always loved about Pam's tutorials so much, is because I felt like she's talking to me, like she knows, here's where you're gonna have a problem, or whatever. But and then I have so much yarn, I want to get it used up so I can buy more. And I want to figure out what I can do with, I know what I'm going to do with some of the scarves and hats, definitely the hats, because I'm definitely going to donate those, because I'm not really interested in trying to make a bunch of money off of it, because some things you're just not going to make money on, because yarn isn't exactly cheap. And sometimes especially for a scarf, as much of it as you use, and people, I think, unless they actually do projects and crochet and knit or loom or whatever, they don't realize the amount of work that goes into it. Even if you're using like an Addi, that's not, like my husband was telling, he had some friend that was over at the house, and I have the Addis, they're set up right there in the living room. And he had said, yeah, they're automatic. And I'm like, no, they're not automatic. I mean, you still have to thread them. You still have to turn the crank. You still have to finish the product. I mean, yeah, it's easier than sitting with the loom and, weaving it through the loom, but there's still an amount of work there. And you have to, for me anyway, I have to watch what I'm doing. I can't just sit and watch TV and turn that crank, because depending on the yarn, occasionally it will drop a stitch, and if you don't notice it right away and pick it up, it's harder to fix. And I've had them that I can't fix at all, and I've had to just frog the whole thing and start over, and that's very frustrating. But there's work that goes into it, that it's hard to get your labor out, but I really just enjoy making the things. So for me, I get a lot of enjoyment out of giving the projects away. I like to, like when my brother and sister-in-law and my little nieces came up a few weeks ago, I felt really good, because my little niece, she was like excited to see all the scarves, and so I was showing her all the scarves, and I let her pick a hat out and a scarf out, and She's just so sweet. She's sitting there. Here it's almost summer. She's sitting in the living room with her little scarf and hat on. She's adorable. And my youngest, the youngest one, I have a snowman. It was my very first snowman hat, and I'm not really happy with it. But since it was the first one, I don't have the heart to rip it out. So I just kind of saved it. And it was before I realized it's really better to make them with two. If you're using a number 4 worsted, it's better to use 2 strands, because I mean, you can literally see through that hat. It's like it's a snowman hat, and the hat that the snowman has on is black with red trim, and then he's white, his face is white, so the white part you can see through it, but it's still. And then at the time I hadn't found the button set that has the little carrot nose, so it's just 2 black buttons and an orange, regular button. Well, my youngest niece found that hat, and she kept putting it over her head, and it fit over her entire face. And so since you could see through the hat, she's walking around the house with the snowman hat on, facing to where it looks like the little snowman face was over her face. It was so cute. But I get my enjoyment out of just making the items and giving them away. So I'm not really interested in making a bunch of money off of it. I did tell my husband, I thought about, usually some years we'll have a yard sale. I thought about maybe putting some things in a yard sale. I don't know how well they would go. It's summertime usually when we're doing those, or maybe we'll wait till the fall. It probably would do better in the fall if you're trying to sell, scarves. So I might try to sell some of them in a yard sale, I don't know. But other than that, I just like to make them. And I've kept several for myself, and I've given several away to relatives. And if I actually had people down here I worked with, I'd be giving them away to them. It's just fun for me. But I'm getting quite the stash of finished projects too. I have a whole, I don't know if you have Marshalls by you, but they sell for like 99 cents. You can buy these Marshalls bags, and they're really big, great big shopping bags, and I've got like 2 of those overflowing with scarves. And then the hats I have in other bags, because those unless they're a set that goes with the scarf, I have those that I've been making to donate to the homeless. And not just the homeless, there's, when they do those cold weather drives, the homeless and the needy. So, but yeah, I mean, I've got all that yarn, all those projects, because I just kind of went crazy. I did the same thing with scrapbooking. When I started doing that, I bought, every time I kept going up and to Michael's and Joann's and looking at Michael's especially, looking at all the papers and the stickers, and so I've got a whole bunch of that stuff. And I just I got all the stuff, I had all these good intentions, and I think I made like 2 pages, and I still have all that stuff. But I don't know, once I started actually doing it, it wasn't as fun. For me, it wasn't. I mean, it was. I don't know, it's hard to explain. And the pages I did, I was really proud of. But then when I went to buy the book that you put the pages in, it was like, damn, this is an expensive hobby. But I keep telling myself, I could put a bunch of pictures onto a flash drive and take them up to Target or somewhere and have them printed and do that. I still have all the stuff. So that might be something. Well, and part of my problem is I don't have like a craft room or, an easy place where I can set all this stuff up. And that's part of what happens, and that is what happened with the scrapbooking. It's like I get everything out, I'm all set up on the kitchen table, and then I have to put everything back up, and then the next time I want to do it, I have to get everything back out. It's just, it's probably laziness on my part, but when you're having to it's like you have to clean up and prepare every single time. It's just not as fun. So one of these days I am going to have a craft room. it might be like an office slash craft room, but one of these days I am going to have a dedicated spot where I can have things set up. And like I said, right now I've got the Addies in the living room, and they don't look bad in there. I mean, I've got like a workbench, and I have both of them. I have the big one and the little one set up. Plus I have my yarn winder on there. But, and you know, it doesn't really look bad. It's not ideal to have it in the living room, but I also don't want to unscrew the clamps on the Addies every single time I'm done with them and put all that up. Plus, it's like I don't finish an entire project in one sitting, you know. So right now I've got a scarf sitting on I'm making like a thinner scarf on the smaller Addie. So, you know, because we don't live in the biggest house. Our house is, you know, it's the perfect, it'll be bigger than what we need once the boys move out, but it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. You know, it's a good sized house for us, but it's not, when we bought our house, we didn't buy it with the idea of this is our starter house, which I know a lot of people do. That was going to be our forever home. I mean, unless the neighborhood goes to crap, or, you know, there's some reason that we would need to move, we're going to stay there. I mean, we bought our house when I was pregnant with my youngest son, who is 18. He'll be 19 in November, and our house is paid off. I mean, we own it. It's our house. And so it's not the biggest house. It's not the nicest house. I mean, we've fixed it up. We've redone almost every room in that house except for the bathrooms, which really need it. But, you know, as we've gone along, we took out the carpeting and put in wood floors, and, you know, we've repainted, because every room except the living room in that house was wallpapered. And so the only rooms with any wallpaper left now are the 2 bathrooms. And so, you know, as the years have gone on, we've fixed it up to suit our needs. And probably the next thing we'll do is my younger son's room, because he just turned 15 and his room's still more little kid. So probably after vacation at some point, we'll rip the carpet up in there and he wants more carpet, so the only rooms with carpet are their 2 bedrooms. Our room, we didn't want carpet, so we had ripped that carpet out. But we redid our oldest son's room a couple years ago, and so we need to do our youngest son's room, and then we'll do the bathrooms. But our house is the perfect size for our family. And I've never been one of those kind of people that, oh, I gotta live up to the Joneses, you know, oh, I gotta have a big house like so-and-so. I don't care about all that, you know, because also, not only do they have the bigger house, they have the bigger bills, you know, the utilities and all that stuff. And I'm not saying that, you know, if one of us were to, you know, come into all this money or something, that we wouldn't go buy a bigger house, because obviously, of course we would if we had the money. But the way we are is we want to eventually have like a lake house, you know, or go on cruises and vacations, and we want to do things. We don't want to be house poor, you know. We didn't want to have a house payment for 30 years. We wanted a house payment for 15, you know, and just stuff like that. We want to be able to have new cars, and there's other things that we want to focus on besides our house. And I know you spend, you know, a big majority of the time in your house, but we're happy with the size of our house. I do wish our house had a basement. It doesn't, because, you know, Missouri is right along Tornado Alley. But when we were researching where to live, we not only researched the school districts and everything, we also were looking at, you know, the area. Like, our area doesn't have flooding. it hasn't in the past anyway been prone to tornadoes. I mean, we go through our share of tornado warnings, but at least so far in our city, one hasn't hit there. So, you know, hopefully we're just, and we have, you know, a place in our house we go and all of that, but whenever we were going to buy a house, the ones with the basements were so much more expensive at the time for what we could afford, and the house part, the living part of the house, would have had to be a lot smaller than the living part of what we have right now. And I have a really nice sized kitchen with a lot of cabinets, and to me that was more important, and I'm glad we went that way because I love having all those cabinets. And like our master bedroom is a really good size. I mean, we've looked at some other houses since we lived in ours, you know, some out of curiosity and some because we just thought, what would it be like, you know, if we wanted to buy another house. And that was before we had our house paid off, when we, you know, we're still having a house payment and everything. And the master bedrooms weren't as big. So we like the setup of our house. And the only regret I have is that it doesn't have a basement. But, and there's only 3 houses in our whole subdivision without basements. And that's because where we live there's so much bedrock underneath, which means we have really good drainage. But planting a tree, oh my God. I think I might have told you guys before, when we planted a tree in our backyard, it took 6 hours and a broken shovel, and we had to go buy a pickaxe because of all the bedrock under there. It was a nightmare. It wasn't as bad in the front yard because when we first moved in, we had these pin oak trees, and they started dying, and so we did some research, and the soil here is not really good for those kinds of trees. So one of them died completely, the other one was half dead, so we had them taken out, and we planted maples because maples are really good. They work really good in this environment. But the front yard, they weren't as bad. That one in the back, oh my gosh. If we ever wanted to have like a pool put in, we probably would have to pay a fortune, if they would even do it. Because I don't even know if they would do it, because I think they would probably have to use explosives. I don't want a pool anyway, that's too much maintenance, but we have a hot tub, so that's good enough for me. You can use that all year round, winter and summer. Summer, you just turn the heat down. Winter, you turn the heat up. But boy, for somebody that couldn't think of what she wanted to talk about, I sure managed to talk almost all the way. I still got a little ways to go. But this is almost ready to be, it's like I've been talking for 28 minutes, so I'll go ahead and let you go. Like I always say, I don't want to bore you to death. I probably already bore you, but anyway, I'll talk to you next time. I hope you all have a good day or had a good day. Talk to you next time. Bye.